Hi, I'm David Hakimi with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and today I'm here with Kim Clancy of Mindful Mortgage. Here we're going to talk today a little bit about Erie, Colorado, and the pros and cons of living on the Boulder County side of Erie versus the Weld County side of Erie. It's a unique town. It straddles the county line that splits Weld County from Boulder County. And while they're not massively different, there definitely are some defining factors between the two sides that could give you a reason to want to live on one side or the other. Would you agree with that?
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we both love Erie. Mm-hmm. So does it matter? No. Yeah. But there are definitely things that we want to point out that if you're looking for certain things close to this place, this is the side. If you're looking close to this is the side.
Absolutely. There are pros and cons. And I've lived on both sides of it, so I can speak from experience. And quite frankly, I went from one corner to the other. So I was in the far Weld County to the far Boulder County.
True.
So I'm currently experiencing the extremes of the two different sides. So, without further ado, the number one factor that will separate Boulder County from Weld County is the obvious. If you're in the Boulder County side, it's a closer commute to Boulder. If you work in Boulder, if you're utilizing Erie as a bedroom community like a lot of the engineers and software engineers and professors do, this is just simply a closer drive. We're probably a good,
15 minutes?
15 minutes from an area like Vista Ridge, which would be on the far east side of Weld County. So you can actually tell a pretty substantial difference in a commute time to Boulder, and not just for work. If you're going to go out to the restaurants or Pearl Street, the nightclubs, Boulder's just got great stuff to see and do. So if you want to get to Boulder, definitely quicker, easier access on the Boulder County side.
Well, that's why I moved here. That's why I actually moved to the Boulder County side, because I found myself in Boulder every weekend.
Got it.
And I was like, when I was driving from the Weld County side, it was literally 25, 30 minutes, but from where I'm at, 15. And I was like, okay. So that was really the reason.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely an easier commute. Number two would be a little bit more functional aspect of getting a loan to live here. The loan limits, the conforming loan limit on the Boulder County side and the FHA loan limit are going to be substantially higher on the Boulder County side of Erie than the Weld County side. And basically what that means in plain English is you can buy a much more expensive house with a lot less money down and still stay out of a jumbo loan. And you can talk to that and you can give me some of the pros and cons of why you'd want to stay out of a jumbo loan.
Well, you'd want to stay out of a jumbo loan because it's harder to qualify and it's got a higher interest rate. It requires more reserves, things like that, right? So you need more money down, that kind of thing. So we do try to keep you out of the jumbo. Do we have the product? Yes.
Sure.
Do we try to keep you out of it? Yes. And in Boulder County, we can go up to $747,500
on a conventional.
Okay. It's called high balance, which you and I have talked about this before.
Absolutely, we've covered it in some of our other videos. Yeah.
And so you are going to be able to buy a more expensive home for less money down by going on the Boulder County side.
Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, we've even had the discussion that if you're utilizing an FHA loan, that's almost impossible because the FHA loan limits are so low in Weld County that with the 3.5% down FHA down payment, you can't hardly get below the loan limit to get an FHA loan. So
it's $483 on the Weld County side.
And there's very few places. I mean, maybe Blue Sky Condos, maybe the townhomes at Grandview.
Yeah.
There may be two places that you can possibly make an FHA loan work on the Weld County side, but this side you can make quite a few of the neighborhoods work. So you got a lot more options if you're trying to utilize a government loan on the Boulder County side versus the Weld County side. All right, and number three, fewer metro taxing districts on the Boulder County side. So I hear a big common misperception. A lot of people come into the area and they say, well, we want to be on the Boulder County side because the taxes, we want to be on the Weld County side because the taxes in Boulder are too high. And if you break it down literally and you find a neighborhood in Boulder that has a metro district and the rate here does have a few extra mills on the assessment for Boulder County, but the big thing most people miss is that most of the neighborhoods on the Boulder County side don't have the metro districts. And the metro districts are super common on the Weld side. In fact, all the popular new neighborhoods on the Weld side have a metro district. And to put that in a nutshell, the metro district means you're going to have a tax rate that's somewhere between like 1.1 to 1.3%. And when you're talking about a $600,000 or $700,000 house, that's a lot of money. Where the Boulder neighborhoods without that, which there are quite a few of them, are only going to come in at like 0.6 or 0.7%. So the taxes are literally half in most of the Boulder County side neighborhoods. So that effectively allows you to buy a lot bigger house. Because if you're talking about
because even that was the second reason why I moved to the Boulder County side was I looked at a house in Vista Ridge. Love Vista Ridge, of course, but I looked there and I looked in Kenosha, and it was the same size house, and it was the same price house, but my payment was $200 more on the Weld County because of the taxes.
Yeah, and that was back then when you bought 14 years ago. That wasn't even that much differential in price. You were probably talking about almost the same price, but just the difference in the taxes. And it was probably a house in the 2s or the low 3s back then, and even a house that low gets a $200 per month. So now think about if everything's in the 7s and the 8s, what does double the tax mean? I mean, you can literally be talking about $10,000 or $12,000 a year in taxes on an $850,000 house. I mean, welcome to my life. We got stubborn and had to have the brand new Boulder County with the high mills and the high metro district rate. So I'm paying over $10,000 a year on $850,000, or maybe 12. I don't even want to look at the math. I think it's 12. It was like $12,000 a year that we pay. If I would have found a similar neighborhood for $850,000 without that metro district, those taxes might have been more like $6,000 or $7,000.
Well, Erie Village. I mean, we're basically connected to Erie Village, and their taxes are just as low. So you would have paid half.
I would have paid half, exactly, and that's substantial. You're talking several $1,000s a month, which also equates to several hundred on a mortgage payment. Or if you take that metro district out of the equation, I probably could have bought a $900,000 house, maybe even pushed closer to $1 million, and had the same house payment as my $850,000 house with a metro district. So that's substantial, and it's worth noting that the Boulder County side, for the most part, has far fewer metro districts.
Because they're older.
They're older. And metro districts are something that's come along in the last 15 to 20 years. Essentially, it's a form of municipal financing. When the developer develops an area, if they want to put pools and clubhouses and parks and a lot of amenities in the neighborhood, they basically finance that with a municipal bond, and then they take the payment for that municipal bond, they break it out among the homeowners as an extra tax assessment on the property taxes. So you basically pay for the house and all the amenities twice because you're paying for it in the price of the house and in the extra tax rate. And unfortunately, those metro districts, the financing can run 20 to 30 years before it expires. So it's not like it's going away anytime soon if you end up in a neighborhood with a metro taxing district. All right. Next one would be less oil and gas activity. So that's a big one.
Touchy subject.
Do what?
It's a touchy subject.
I get it. I mean, there are a lot of families here that rely on oil and gas productivity, and there are a lot of oilmen here. So, no offense to those guys. We appreciate it. We all drive cars. I mean, they don't run on unicorn juice like those guys say. So I totally get it. It's definitely not to downplay oil and gas. However, if you want to look at it from a homeownership standpoint and a real estate standpoint, the Boulder County in general had a moratorium on oil and gas production for several years, and it just ran out a few years ago. So essentially, by the time the Boulder County side of Erie was completely developed, most of the land already had houses on it. Most of the mineral rights were snatched up, or there just wasn't a viable place for the oil and gas companies to come in and put frac rigs in or around the neighborhood. So by default, the Boulder County side ended up with a lot less oil and gas activity. So, take that at face value for what you will. Some people don't mind it. Some people are like, hey, it's how I make my living. More power to you. I mean, we all drive. We need the oil and gas. But there are also some people who don't want anything to do with it. They believe really strongly. Yeah, they believe it, and they don't want it around their house. If that's important to you, the Boulder County side of Erie is going to be a lot less likely to have it. And the reason we have so much of it, just a quick note, Erie sits on one of the largest shale deposits in North America. In fact, Erie was founded in the 1800s or 1700s, 1800s as a coal mining town. In fact, that's what Collier's Hill means. It's an old-timey word. Collier is an old-timey word for coal miner, Coal Miner's Hill. If you look down in Old Town Erie, there's all sorts of statues and miners, the Miners Pub, all the neighborhoods and, not neighborhoods, all the restaurants and some of the businesses are all named around mining themes. That's because Erie was such a big coal mining community in the 1800s and the early 1900s. And it still sits on a big shale deposit, which nowadays translates to fracking. So it's an attractive place for oil and gas production because there's a lot of material underneath us. All right, the next one would be the Erie Landfill. That's a big one. Erie's a great community. I mean, like we both said, we have nothing against Erie. Vista Ridge was actually fairly close to the landfill, but it is a big neighborhood. Vista Ridge is about 2 miles from end to end. So even in the neighborhood that's closest to it, there's certain parts of it that you don't even notice it's there. I mean, our house was on the far end of the neighborhood from it. I didn't even think about it. So for us, the Erie landfill wasn't that big of a deal, but there are a few neighborhoods that butt up to it a little closer. It's definitely, it's definitely on the landscape. When you drive through Erie, you definitely see the hill. We'll cut to a little bit of B-roll here and show you what it looks like, so you can see what we're talking about. But the Weld County side definitely has the landfills, and they've got a couple that have been closed since. If that's an issue, if you don't like that, if you find that adverse, the Boulder County side puts you quite a bit farther away from it. In fact, most of Boulder County, Erie is so far from it that you can't see it at all.
Not at all.
So it's a non-issue, 100%. So that would be one reason that you might want to move to the Boulder County side. If you didn't like the landfill aspect of Erie, Boulder definitely isolates you from the landfill for sure. Next one would be we're simply closer to the mountains. And the mountains are west. Boulder County side is the west side of Erie. So if you like to do lots of outdoor stuff like hiking and biking and camping and running up to Estes or going to ski, it's just simply closer. It's a closer drive, closer commute, and the feel, when you get closer to the mountains, they definitely feel a little bit bigger. But, we will talk about that. The Weld County side actually has neighborhoods that sit on high topography that look down from elevation. So Weld County absolutely has some stunning views too, just a little different. Do you want them up from elevation, or do you want to feel like they're a little closer to you? So pick your poison on the type of views that you like. Both have their pros and cons, but you definitely feel closer to the mountains here.
Well, you are.
And
you see it. You actually see it. But I do agree in the Weld County, Collier's Hill, some of those views are absolutely stunning.
They're amazing. And Erie Highlands as well. Those big neighborhoods that are on the hill that have the terraced housing with the west-facing rears coming off the back of the hill, some of those have billion-dollar views. They're just unbeatable. You look out and it's just stunning because you're looking across the Boulder Valley from an aspect point of elevation. So those views are just amazing. You're not going to get that on the Boulder County side. So there are definitely some pros and cons from a view standpoint to both sides of it.
Well, did you know also that Yellow Scene, which is one of the magazines, I actually don't know if it's still in.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
They deemed the view at Erie High School the best view in all Denver Metro of the mountains.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit. And
it's amazing.
Soaring Heights, the K through 8 that's there. My wife actually taught school there, and they built that building intentionally with a wall of glass on the west side of it because they wanted it to take advantage of the views from that high vantage point. So I agree.
It's beautiful.
In a way, it's a little bit of a waste that they built schools on the piece of land with the best views.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool. Like, imagine being in high school and you're walking and that's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. Yeah. There's a little bit of
Colorado feel.
A little bit of flex to that. People say, this is where I go to school. So I get it. It is a cool attribute for sure. All right, and the next one here is that it definitely has a little bit more of a rural feel. Erie in general is a small town. It's not super built out in any part of it, Weld or Boulder, but I would say that Boulder County in general starts to get a little closer to that void of farmland between Erie and Lafayette to Boulder, so it's a little more open around here. If you look out our back window here, and we'll pan to some of the views here in some B-roll, it definitely has that open kind of cool Boulder farmland feel. So if you want to feel like you're close to town and got amenities a mile or two away right around the corner, but you feel like you're close to the country, you can definitely get that a little bit easier on the Boulder County side. So if you like that open, less congested, less developed feel, Boulder County side of Erie is going to be a little bit easier to find that as well.
And even the homes. The homes have a little bit more space too.
Around them, bigger lots, which is almost counterintuitive because you would think the land over here would be a little bit more expensive, but I think part of that comes down to the fact that the homes here are older. A lot of them were built in the 90s and the early 2000s, and back then builders were just a little bit more generous with the lot sizes. The house I'm in and it's brand new Boulder County side, and our house barely got shoehorned onto the lot, I think it's not totally applicable, but I think you're right because there are more older neighborhoods. They were built when the builders gave more generous yard sizes. So if you want a big backyard on your house, the Boulder County side is going to be easier to find one of those as well. And then the next one, this one once again, take it how you will. It's a touchy subject, but the politics here. Boulder County definitely has much more liberal lean on most of their politics, so you may love that, you may hate it. I'm not going to judge. I'm pretty moderate myself. I take some viewpoints from both sides, but I can tell you that a couple of the ways that'll actually apply to daily life. If you're a gun guy, if you like your ARs and your built kit guns like that, you can't buy anything that Boulder County would consider an assault weapon part here. And a lot of the part manufacturers that do mail order will not ship it to you if you're in a Boulder County address. So you want to keep that in mind. I don't know this firsthand, but I've been told by a very reputable source, one of my buddies is former special forces, big gun guy, big ex-military guy, and he said that the Boulder County side is much harder to get a concealed carry permit as well, too. So if you got a Boulder County address and you want a concealed carry permit and you haven't applied, you might face a few more hoops. Here they don't hand them out quite as easily on the Boulder County side as they do on the Weld County side, so that's something to consider as well. And
let me jump in on that though. There's also another part to that we have now found out during COVID is that, and it could be mayor based or it could be Erie based. That Erie, because we are split, initially when COVID restrictions were coming out, the people that were on the Weld County side were following Weld County, and the restaurants on the Boulder County were following Boulder County. And then Erie came in and said, no, we follow all Boulder County. So even though we are split, and even though a restaurant might be on the side of Weld County, because they are in Erie, are mandated to follow Boulder County.
Got it. And then you beat me to the next point. My next point was going to be mask mandates. They're definitely, at least until that occurred, they were definitely more strictly enforced on the Boulder County side. And I got to say, wink, wink, shrug. I think the Weld County side still doesn't enforce them quite as much. I know that my favorite gym doesn't require them, and that's why it's my favorite gym. I mean, I'm in that camp when it comes to that particular topic. I'd rather be able to go to the gym and not try and huff and puff through a mask. And my gym on the Weld County side doesn't enforce. They leave it up to you. And of course, they lost some members, but they gained some members. So I think that's just the market at play. It's going to equalize out. If you don't like a gym where they don't enforce it, don't join that gym. Yeah. If you want a gym where they don't enforce it because you like that.
Same with restaurants.
There you go. Same with restaurants. Yeah. So that comes down to your personal preference, but that's why we have both sides to choose from, and you can pick your poison. Yeah. Cool. And what's the last one? Oh, the very last one. Actually, two last ones. Organic groceries. If you like stuff like Whole Foods or Sprouts, they're going to be closer over here. Yeah. Because unfortunately, as much as Erie's grown, we have we're about to get 3 grocery stores. We're going to get 2 King Supers. We've got the big giant King Supers on Highway 7 on the Weld side. They're about to build a new King Supers here on the Boulder side, and we already had a Safeway here on the Boulder side. So we're about to have 3 grocery stores in general. And granted, the big King Supers over on the Weld side does have some organic stuff, but it's just still not going to be on a level like a Whole Foods or a Sprouts would be. So if you like Whole Foods and Sprouts, you're definitely closer because we have one in Lafayette, which isn't too far. I think I've got it written down in my notes here. I think it's like 6.6 miles or 5.6 miles from the center of Erie to the Sprouts in Lafayette. So it's not a tremendous drive. And then I think you've also got a Whole Foods in Boulder, which we covered in the first point. You're closer to Boulder. So if you want.
Longmont.
And Longmont. There's also a Whole Foods in Longmont. Yeah. There's a lot of things in Longmont that we don't quite have here yet. I'm a big fan of Fuzzy's Taco. There's a few cool semi-fast restaurants. We don't have a Chipotle here yet. No. You've got to go to Lafayette for Chipotle. So if you like your semi-fast Mexican food like Fuzzy's or Chipotle, those are actually both closer to the Boulder County side of Erie as well.
And in general, right, if you think about Boulder County, Erie, I don't know that we have a fast food restaurant. I don't think we actually have in Boulder County, Erie. I don't think we do.
You're wrong. There's a Dairy Queen. There's a Dairy Queen over by the Safeway.
Oh, stop.
And we got our breakfast burritos this morning. There's Tacos El Rey. It's a cool little private taco shop. Amazing breakfast burritos. Probably one of the best breakfast burritos I've had in a while. Good. Our cameraman Chris back there brought us those. Thank you, Chris. This morning they were fantastic, and those are on the Boulder County side. So you do have Dairy Queen.
Well, it's not like a drive-through.
And there's a Subway.
That's true.
There's a Subway and there's a Dairy Queen. So you got a few. Hey, you know what? I got the leg up on you because I did the research for one of our other videos where we covered the 38 restaurants in Erie. So I cheated. All right. Okay, cool. So the last one would be the school districts. Boulder County side obviously has some neighborhoods that are in the Boulder Valley School District. Not all, though. You can't just assume that because you're in a Boulder County address, you're in Boulder Valley schools. Some of the Boulder County addresses are still St. Vrain schools. I get approached several times a year by people that say, we want Boulder County and we have to have Boulder Valley schools. Because in general, the Boulder Valley schools, I think if you look at the great schools and some of the different rating sites, they are considered from a standpoint of standardized testing and maybe college admission and so forth to be one of the better districts in the state of Colorado. I think it's Cherry Creek schools, down in the south end of Denver and Boulder Valley are in general considered the 2 best school districts. So there are people that absolutely want to be in a Boulder Valley school, Boulder County side address. But I will say, if you're going to play pros and cons, if you look at greatschools.com, out of the 9 schools here in Erie, the 5 that have the best scores on great schools are actually in the St. Vrain side. So the few schools here that are Boulder Valley in Erie currently don't score quite as high on some of the school rating sites as the St. Vrain schools. Now that those scores fluctuate from year to year. my wife's a teacher, and she says there's a phenomenon where you'll just get a class of kids that might not have been quite as good as students as the year before, and they might not be quite as good as the ones that follow. So if these sites determine these ratings off of standardized test scores, a lot of that could have actually been the group of kids that just went through it. So I wouldn't necessarily hold that as a hard, fast rule, because that Boulder Valley Meadowlark School over in Flatiron Meadows is gorgeous. That facility is state of the art. It's Boulder Valley's newest K through 8. I mean, the facilities are fantastic. So I mean, it's definitely not anything to leave desired by any state.
No, and Erie High School, I mean, it wins so many awards, and I have a child that goes there. I mean, his advanced placement classes are like, I shop them around, and they are the best.
And I don't remember exactly what the award was called, but if you look up Erie High School on greatschools.com, there is an award logo. I think it had highest college admission or something like that. So it does have a pretty prestigious award from Great Schools for having a high percentage of the students go on to tech degrees and so forth, or I think
engineering,
even engineering, quite a bit of engineering. So it definitely is cool, and that makes sense because, quite frankly, there are a lot of engineers that live here. They live here to commute to Ball Aerospace. They live here to commute to the IT startups in Boulder. So, of course, engineers have
engineer
kids. There you go. So, I can totally see why it would be a competitive environment where a lot of the kids do well. And, of course, kids of engineers, kids of professionals get lots of support at home. So, that plays into the overall outcome of the way the student body performs, I would think, as well, too. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody tuning in today. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. We're going to be turning these videos out on a regular basis. Tons of topics around Boulder County, Erie, Louisville, Lafayette, and the rest of Denver in general. We're going to cover lots of cool information. So if you liked it, hit the like and subscribe button. And also, if you want to work with one of us, my phone number and email address are posted here below. I'm one of the top Berkshire Hathaway agents in the state of Colorado. Kim Clancy is one of the top lenders in the state of Colorado as well. Her application link is down in the description, so feel free to click that and make an online application with Kim. I can tell you firsthand, she's phenomenal, experienced, super competitive. I see you beat the rates of places like Quicken and Rocket.com all the time, and a lot of people consider those the gold standard. You knock their rates and closing costs off routinely, so you're not going to pay more money to use Kim, and you also get a local lender that everybody knows and trusts your pre-qual letter. So if you're in the competitive market here, it will make your offer stand out and go stronger if you're working with a local lender that the listing agents all know. So once again, thanks for tuning in today. Check out the rest of our videos. We're going to keep turning out content. We hope to see you guys again. Thank you.
And if you guys have anything that you want us to do a video on, please just let us know.
Tell us in the comments. If there's a topic you want to hear something on, let us know. We'll cover it in one of the upcoming videos. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.